Hi everyone, my name is Liz I Read and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my June TBR, all the books I plan on reading in the month of June. And I have a big stack here. These are specifically just the books that I am currently working through and I plan to read immediately, so let's just get into the video. I've decided to make sure I read diversely, and specifically I want to read like 30% by diverse authors. And so in order for me to do that this month, I need to read 3 more titles minimum. I'm not restricting myself, but I just want to kind of keep track and make sure I read at least 30%. And so I'm falling a little bit behind, so I just want to do some catching up. Luckily, with the series I'm working through, I have some diverse authors already. So I have a few here. The first one is The Iron Raven by Julie Kagawa. I'm excited to really get to this. It's really short, it's not that long, but it is her 8th book in the Iron Face series. It's a super long series, but she kind of writes them in like trilogies. So this is like the new trilogy within this world. I don't know for sure if people have to read all the other books beforehand, but I'm really excited because this is focusing on Puck, who was a character in the original trilogy, and he's been showing up throughout the entire series. And so this is his story. This is a fairy story, so it's featuring fairies, and so it's like an urban fantasy, and Puck is a fairy himself, and he's gonna go on his own adventure. I don't really know what's happening, but this is specifically the Even Fall trilogy within this world, so I'm excited to get to it. The next one is, for my diverse, is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This is, I guess, like considered to be like book 0, which is kind of funny, but this is like the prequel to The Hate U Give, and we're specifically following Maverick, who was Star's father, and we just learn about his story. He becomes a father, and that impacts his life, and we get kind of like a glimpse of his life in The Hate U Give, where, you know, he had some challenges as a teen, and specifically becoming a father, and I'm really excited to get to this. If you didn't know, The Hate U Give is a story about Star, who witnesses her best friend being murdered by a police officer, and the fallout from that. And so Maverick was her father, and this is his story, so I'm excited to get to this. And lastly, for diverse books, I have Restore Me and Defy Me, and the novella book Find Me for the Shatter Me series. So this is book 4 in the Shatter Me series. I read the original trilogy a while back, maybe a couple years ago now. I don't remember, but I really loved it. It was a lot of fun, so I'm really excited to get to this one. And it's just a continuing on the story. Shatter Me is about, we follow Juliet, and her touch is lethal. If she touches anyone, they die. And so it's kind of like a dystopian fantasy story where the world has changed a lot. It's kind of, like I said, a dystopian world. And it's a continuation of that series. So like I said, Restore Me, of the novella set Find Me, which features Shadow Me and Reveal Me. And then I have book 5 here, and it is a trilogy. So if I'm really loving this and I get to this, I will pick up the final book in this trilogy set and kind of like finish out this series. So those are it for the diverse books. I'll for sure get to 3 of those this month. That'll be my #1 focus at first. But then I have all these other books that I'm working through. I'm trying to finish out my series because I just have so many series I'm in the middle of. And I want to make a point of reading through series. If I start a series, I want to finish it off. So I have Get a Clue, which is book 4 in the Bookish Boyfriend series. This is a YA romance contemporary series, and they're all based on famous classics. So it's kind of like a reimagining of a classic, and in the process, 2 people fall in love. And so in this one, we're following Huck and Winston, and I think this is kind of based on Sherlock Holmes. So that's the book that it's kind of a retelling of. But in the process, I believe they fall in love. So I've read the other 3 and loved them all. Book 1 was A Date with Darcy, and that was like a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and then book 2 was The Boy Next Story, which was Little Women, and then the third one was Talk Nerdy to Me, which was Anne of Green Gables. And there is like an eccentric English teacher in this high school who kind of has like magical books, and the main character usually reads the book that this story is emulating, and they fall in love in the process. So I'm really excited to get to this. I was really looking forward to it, and I just like haven't gotten around to reading it, so I'm excited to get to this one. And then the other series I have is the Well Met series. So this is Well Played. This is the book 2, again another romance, and this takes place at a Renaissance fair. And this one we're following Stacy, and we did get introduced to her in the previous book. But this is her love story. I'm excited to get to this. Next, I have some books from the Grishaverse. I'm completely caught up in the Grishaverse. I've read every single book except the special novella books or whatever. So I have The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales, and Dangerous Magic. I believe these are more fairy tale stories. They have a lot of like illustrations in here. And it's fairy tales from the Grishaverse. The stories, I guess, told to children in this world. So I've had this on my bookshelf forever, and I need to get to it. I bought myself The Lives of Saints, which is just like a special edition. This is the book that's like literally in the story, and we see this specific edition in the TV show. I remember seeing Alina holding it, so I'm like, I have that book. It's gorgeous, and I think again it's just like stories from this world. It's all the stories of the different saints, and there's like illustrations in here. So these are just gonna be a fun chillax, read some mythical stories or stories about some saints from a made-up world, so I'm excited for these. Next is I desperately need to finish the Strange and Deadly series. I started the series forever ago, and I have read A Darkness, Strange and Lovely, which is book 2, but I need to reread it in order to get to book 3. I was loving this series, and I just like stopped reading it. So the Something Strange and Deadly series is about, I think her name is Eleanor, sorry, her name is Eleanor, and she's American. It's like the 1800s, and there's like zombie outbreaks. The dead has risen, and they're walking, and they're attacking her city, but it's the 1800s. She's a woman. Her mother is desperately trying to set her up with men and help her find a husband. In the meantime, she's just so desperate to reconnect with her brother, who was traveling for a long time, and then she finds out the dead have captured her brother. So she seeks out the, what are they called? The spirit hunters, who are a group of misfits who are fighting the zombies. And so she seeks them out, hoping that they can help her find her brother and rescue him. And the story is about her finding a home within this group of misfits. There's a romance in here. It's a lot of fun. I really loved book 1, and I really loved the romance. And so I'm excited to read book 2. It takes place in Paris. And then book 3, I think, is Egypt. So it sounds like it's dystopian, but it's more fantasy. It's kind of necromancy, kind of urban fantasy, I guess. So I definitely recommend the series, especially if you like Suzanne Denner. She writes the Truthhood series. So I want to finish the series. And the last series I want to start working on is the Night World series. We're going old school, retro YA. It's written by L.J. Smith, who's the writer of the Vampire Diaries series. I read book 1, Secret Vampire, and enjoyed myself. It wasn't like the most amazing thing I read, but I really liked it, and it got me intrigued to keep on going. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to reread book 1 because I don't think I need to. Even though it's been a while, I don't think I need to, but I want to work through this series and try and finish it off. I think I have books 1 to 9 here. I think it's technically a 10-book series, but I have a soft spot for like retro YA, especially like paranormal stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this. So Secret Vampire Book 1. We follow Poppy, and she finds out that she's sick and actually dying. And also she's in love with her best friend, and you know, her best friend happens to be a vampire, and the story goes on from there. You can probably guess what happens because her story continues on after book 1. But book 1 was very much like a setup for this series and an introduction to the vampire world, or the night world specifically, because there's not just vampires, but there's other paranormal creatures in this world. Yeah, we get introduced to Poppy and her brother and her best friend. I forget what his name is. James, that's his name. Yeah, I'm excited to keep on going and enjoying this retro YA. So those are all the books that I'm planning on reading. I probably won't read them all. There's no way I can get to all of them, but those are the books that are next on my list. I would love to know what you're planning on reading in the month of June. Please let me know and comment down below. If you've read any of these books before, please let me know. I would love to have a conversation with you in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you've not done so. You can follow me on Twitter, and you know what? I want you to keep reading. Bye.